everyone, to the first ever episode of Unrooted Wrestling Edition. And my guest for this week's show is none other than the head coach of the men's wrestling team here at Menlo College and the director of wrestling, Joey Martinez. Joey, thanks so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Let's start by getting to know you a little bit better. You were a part of the first ever wrestling class here at Menlo College that got introduced in 2001. What's it like being a Menlo lifer?
Menlo lifer.
Well, you've been here forever.
Yeah. Well, it's actually a pretty good experience that I was here in the start of the program. It allows me to be connected to everybody that's come through, fans, friends, alumni, coaches. So it's easy for me to reach out and connect and talk to them about what we're doing now. So obviously, like I said, I've been here since the beginning, so it's easy for me to give them good information to get them back on campus for events, matches, tournaments, etc. So I think I'm blessed with that, being able to do that for everybody and being here on the first team.
What was it like wrestling for Keith Spataro, who's now the director of athletics, and he was the head wrestling coach?
Ooh. To give you the PG version?
Yes.
It's good. He showed me a lot of different things, and not just with wrestling, but how to be the coach I am. So I have to thank him for that. Did a good job, letting me make mistakes and learning from them. But it took a lot away from him, and have to thank him.
For sure. Now, the accolades as a collegiate wrestler, very impressive. A two-time All-American here at Menlo, two-time also at the junior college level, where you went 61-0, an undefeated mark that still has not been touched. How did you do it?
Well, I mean, I really can't say that it was all me. There's a lot of people around me, a lot of things that happened that allowed me to, be that successful at the junior college level. It just, one of the big things is, you can get caught up in, as the wins keep happening and the losses don't, about how much pressure you can put on yourself. You just got to stay focused and stick to what your goals are, and, be committed to being the best you can be. No matter what happens, your performance is always going to be at a high level because of the way you train and prepare and stuff like that. So I never really looked at it in terms of how I'm winning and not losing. I just looked at it at how I can get better every single week, and that got me through the season. Where at the end I was like, wow, I was pretty successful. I didn't lose. So
this is your 9th year here as the head of the wrestling program at Menlo College. How have you changed as a coach from year 1 to year 9?
a ton. I think in the beginning it was really difficult for me to take everything in and be able to do everything at a high level. Now I look back and say, there's so many things that you need to put so much energy into in order for the program to run smooth. And I take everything and I give it what it needs, and I allow myself to process stuff better so that I can make better decisions for everybody that's involved in what we're doing. So at first it was, I was running around like a chicken with no head, but now I have things a little bit more stable, and it's easier for me to look and be able to dissect things and make things work out. So it just was a learning process, a learning curve, just like anybody. If starting any kind of new job, you got to go through your lumps and then figure out what path to take and what path not to take.
Let's talk a little bit now about the teams that you are in charge of here. Now, the Oaks, on the men's side, they enter the season ranked 4th best in the nation. Is there any pressure for athletes and coaches having to live up to such a high ranking to begin the year?
Nah, I don't think so. I try not to talk about what the ranking is and where we are, because I know the guys and the girls, they have enough pressure as it is. They got a lot of things going on in their life. They don't need to hear it from me where we need to be at this ranking. I talk about a lot of things about how we can improve and get better, and how we are clicking, and how things are working, and how we're progressing to our end goals. and really just performing. You know, the performance part of it, the giving the effort is what's big for me. As long as we can do that, the wins and the losses are going to lay themselves out as it is. So I just focus on those things. And, you know, the guys and the girls, they do a really good job of making sure that they come ready to go. And, you know, they're very coachable, easy to work with, and it makes my job easier so that we can give them the most out of everything.
Now, the Oaks came out strong to begin the year in tournament play, and then most recently, some duels up north. Southern Oregon and Simpson were on tap. You won both of them. How do these early season duels set the tone for what's to come?
It's really good. You know, because we do a lot of stuff in the preseason. Right when we start our season, we're, you know, 6-8 weeks in. A lot of commitment and time that we put into what we're doing to be able to go on the road and wrestle a team like Southern Oregon, and with the guys, a team like Simpson. Anytime you go on the road and wrestle tough teams like that, and you can come out with wins, is actually really good. It lifts the spirits, gets the guys and girls rolling for the next matches, tournaments, whatever we have next. So it's a good thing, you know. But again, we stay focused on, you know, the end goal. This is just a springboard back to our season, so it helps us get going.
National champion Troy Lakin is gone, so too is Katie Chesson from the women's team. So really a lot of the heavy lifting is going to be done by Javier Gonzalez this year. He's the top-ranked heavyweight in the Cascade Collegiate Conference. What makes him such a fierce competitor on the mat?
I think that, you know, last year he was really good about buying in. And it helped him buying in, meaning, you know, he was doing everything he was supposed to be doing for the most part, making sure that he was staying on track. He got a taste of what being an All-American, going to the national tournament, being an All-American at that level. He had a really good summer. We talked about what his goals and what his mindset should be and how he is attacking this summer and this fall and jumping into the season. He really has a good head on his shoulders, and he's really focused on, you know, performing at the highest level he can and accomplishing everything that he has put forth. And I really hope that everything does work out, you know, because it's sports, anything can happen. But the way he's going, he can carry people and carry teams, and he does a really good job of taking that and showing others, like, hey, I can do it, you can do it with me. So he's good about getting people on board. It's really helpful for us.
Yeah.
You know.
Now, as with every year, there's, of course, a host of new faces on both sides, men's and women's, that are going to be making an impact this year. Who are you looking to surprise some people this year?
You know, there's so many different faces in both the men's and women's programs. I can't really single out one or two or even three people. I think that we have groups on both sides that really have gelled together, and they really see what our end goals are, and they're working hard towards that. So I think they're feeding off each other, all the new people, especially they're feeding off the returners, and they're seeing what we can accomplish, and they're seeing the people and the talent in the room, and they're seeing that, hey, we can do a lot of good things. We just got to stay to course. And, you know, I can't, we have so many of them, I can't just single out one or two. There's a ton on both sides, and they're all doing a great job. And I think that keep going this way, it's going to be a special year.
The Missouri Valley Open is up for women's wrestling this weekend, and then the Roadrunner Open for the men's team down in Bakersfield. That is on Sunday. A couple of the tournaments that are early on the schedule for the Oaks. What's the competition like at these two events typically?
For the women, the Missouri Valley Open is really good. We get to see a ton of teams from the Midwest that we don't really see until probably late January, right before Nationals. But it's a good indicator in the beginning of the year to see where we're at, test out, you know, the waters of, you know, where we could be. We get to see a lot of faces, and I think it's really good for our girls to go out there and do that. For the men, the Roadrunner, it's a tough tournament. Mainly Division I schools are there. Everybody from California goes. It's a pretty big tournament. It's hosted in an arena. I think about 12 mats this year. So it's a big event where, again, for the men, it's a good test to see where we're at this given point in the season. So I'm excited for the women and for the men. I want to see, you know, how we come out of this tournament, what we're going to go through and just move on from there.
All right, Joey, let's get into the final segment of the show. It's called Brownie Bites. I'm going to ask you 3 random off-the-wall questions. You give me your best answers.
Okay.
Question number 1, which wrestler would make the best Menlo lifer?
Ooh. Current team?
Current team.
Current team. I would say Javier. I think that he's, easy to like, and he has good conversations with people, and, he's always in good spirits. So I think that he could be here, and, it'd be a good situation for him.
All right. Question number 2, which student would have the hardest time becoming a psychology major, much like yourself? Little did I know that in doing research for the show, you were a psych major.
Psych major.
Why?
Why was I a psych major? Well, I don't know. I mean, I got here in psychology. I took 1 or 2 psychology, I think, classes when I first got here, and really liked them. And I was like, this is a degree I want to get into, and just kind of got into it, So I think it works for what I'm doing, obviously. But who would be the best one, or the worst one, sorry, on my current team? I would say Tyler Noon.
Why so?
It would just be difficult for him to dissect and figure out people. Not saying he can't, but that's not his skill set. That's not his skill set.
Okay.
He has different skills.
Fair enough. And then question number 3, which coach would you most want to challenge to a game of push-out? Now, I saw at Menlo Madness, you got in the circle with Jamison Montgomery, the assistant men's basketball coach, and you took care of him pretty easily. Who else would be on the list of people you'd want to face?
Definitely Keith Lambert. And I would do a push-out session with him anywhere he wanted to. So I'm calling you out, Keith. Wherever you want, I have a push-out session for you. So Keith, definitely.
These guys were talking some trash before the interview off in our athletic department, and it was pretty fun because it was right by my cube, and I got a great bird's eye view of everything that was going on. I was impressed. I think it'd be a very fun bout.
It would be for me. I don't know about for him.
Can I be the broadcaster for this?
Definitely. We would broadcast it.
Special edition of Unrooted, where we're going to have Joey Martinez and Keith Lambert participate in a game of push-out. We're going to make it happen, folks. Joey, thanks so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And folks, it is a busy weekend for Menlo College wrestling, men's and women's wrestling, both in action and both out of the Bay Area, for that matter. Missouri Valley Open is on tap for the women's wrestling program. That is on Saturday, November 18th. And the men's wrestling program is in the Road Runner Open. That is down in Bakersfield, and that will take place on Sunday, the 19th. We invite you to tune into the next episode of Unrooted Wrestling Edition, when Joey Martinez will select the first student athlete to be interviewed by me, Brian Brownfield, right here on the show. Until then, we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.